Hi,
Make
Dan.
words.
Hey, Eric.
Hi, Dan. How are
What's
you?
going on, man?
Good to see you, sir.
No, thanks for having me. Man.
If you listen to the Opie Radio channel, or if you listen to Bennington on Raw Dog, or wherever you listen to Bennington, you know Dan from the Bennington Show. Dan left not too long ago. He's a comic. He's a writer, and won some big award up at Just for Laughs in Montreal not too long ago.
That's right, yeah.
What was the award?
It was best half-hour pitch.
All right.
Yeah. So I wrote this animated series that it was just like I mean, we could talk about it. It was just like a idea for a show about a bus driver. That was
Okay.
all. So I wrote it. I got some funding to make like a nice 30-second thing, and I thought we'd do some screening in Brooklyn of it, and then that would be it. But then we got invited up to Montreal Just for Laughs, which is like a huge festival,
Right.
like a massive thing. And then we won that best half-hour pitch there, and then from there it just kept snowballing until Fox ordered a pilot.
Wow.
Of it.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So,
If you didn't see the news reports from the Hollywood Reporter this week, I woke up and came to do Opie's show, and then all of a sudden, boom, Hollywood Reporter, Dan Perlman, pilot deal, and I'm like, no.
What?
A good weekend
Shit, it
for
is.
me.
It's him.
Yeah, a good weekend for me is when like ShopRite has the pomegranate seltzer.
Yeah.
This guy's getting pilots from
Or when you can get
Fox.
home after the show and there's no traffic because they closed all the highways for road construction.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is a good day.
We're just hoping some people like it. Yeah,
Hey,
Fox.
hey, Lewis. I think we need a little ice cube. Today was a good day. Just pot it up when you get it. So yeah, I see that in Dan Perlman. I'm like, when Dan left here, he came by the office. We were talking a little bit before Dan was done, and he was telling me about trying to get something with the animation project. And I said, if you ever do anything with it, come by and talk to us about it because we like that stuff.
Sure.
And so that blew up. No call from Dan, and then he's on Bennington that day. I was
Just
like,
right over our heads.
right, and I'm like, oh, it makes sense that he goes on to Ron's show because
Sure.
you have to. He was part of that world, and it would be inappropriate if you did anything else before that. So I get it. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to reach out to Dan. And he's like, yeah, absolutely.
There
so
you go.
there we go.
Of course, yeah.
We now know somebody who has an animation project that got picked up by a major network.
it's all pretty silly. Yeah, it's like you were saying before. This shouldn't happen.
Right.
It's not that article. Just reading that sentence where it's like, "That's my bus" is the name of the show, and if it goes to series, it will join the lineup of The Simpsons, Family Guy, Bob's Burgers. And
You
it's
may have
like,
heard of
that's-
this.
Yeah,
Couple
that's
of
silly.
shows.
That's silly.
There we go.
That should live on my desktop.
That's that's now my ringtone for you.
Nice.
If I get a text from Dan, I'm like, what success did Dan have now?
Yeah, so that was all. It just happened crazy fast. Like when we were meeting with those Fox people, because I wrote it with my friend Will Julian, and when he said that,
Bring it down a little bit, Lewis.
when he said that, so we sit down with him after a phone call where he's like, "We're gonna buy the show." And then I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. Like, I didn't believe him. And then we sat down, and then my buddy Will, like, he shows up to this meeting in, like, a suit. Like, he's all professional. I just showed up, like, a T-shirt.
Right.
Like this. And so the exec looks, and he's like, all right, you believe me, and points to me. And he's like, you don't. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Well, here's probably another way why this sold. If you would have shown up in a suit, then they know you're not creative.
Right.
Like, you only
Yeah.
show up, an art type person only shows up in a suit when the law requires it, or or that your wife makes you. It's like, you're receiving an award. Try to dress up for something. Even in those meetings and stuff like that, if you showed up and looked exactly like the execs trying to feel you out,
Right.
you're not going to get anywhere because you're not giving the image of that this is an artist. We know he's going to be difficult. He can sustain an episodic program or something
Yes.
like that.
I was a couple minutes late to the first meeting
perfect.
with one of the Fox execs for no real reason. I was just slow.
This
getting out
is
the
how
Just
you
door.
get
make 'em
shit
wait.
done, kids.
Just make 'em
We're
wait.
going through the process here.
They're going to really want that bus
it's
show.
all-
Remember when your
Yeah,
parents said,
crazy silly.
or like my parents said, look, we support you on this radio thing, but, just have a backup in case.
Learn a trade.
Learn a trade. Have a job before you apply for another job,
Sure.
which is key. That works in any industry. Maybe you want to minor in something in college, and
That's
not
right.
something that deals with your major, which I didn't listen to because I minored in public relations. And maybe, if that doesn't work out, your uncle is still hiring over at the store or something like that. It's just
factory.
like the
This
box
is the
factory.
conversation that every actor, artist, photographer has with some important family member at one point in time in their life.
But
Yeah.
Dan, on the other hand, comedy is his plan A.
Sure. But that's good.
A Fox animated series is his plan B. I think
yeah.
Dan's living life the right way.
No, it's nice. I mean, I love stand up. I'm a stand up, and all that was just like a fun thing to do.
You're not going to be one of those
This is-
stand-ups that use it to get something else, right?
No.
You're still
I
gonna
wanna
continue
do
doing stand-up?
Yeah.
Perfect, yeah.
If that right after we got the call that the show got bought, I went and did an open mic for maybe 12 people just because I wanted to try new jokes. So that's just what I like to do. I love doing stand-up, and so if this keeps going at this insane rate, then great, cool.
Well, you have
all
the
just
plan
play
A to
at
fall
this
back
point.
on where, I really do hope this works out. And with the pilot,
Sure.
they pick it up and whatever. But if it doesn't, you still have stand-up to go
Right.
back to. So
Yeah.
you're in a great position either way.
Right. And
You're
you-
only looking up.
And you were talking about like having like a backup plan, and all that. But the other thing that you get from relatives, or at least that I've gotten, is because they're so unfamiliar with this world, they just assume like, oh yeah, this was supposed to happen.
Right.
So like my grandma was like, oh, that's nice because you've been trying to do this for a few years now, so it's
Your
good. that you
cousin Donnie
finally
is a doctor.
Gotten
Yeah.
something right.
Thanks,
And
Grandma.
it's like, all right, well, yeah, I mean, this is insane. This shouldn't be a thing. This is ahead of schedule by any stretch.
Where can we find the original, the one that went up to Montreal? Is it online somewhere? where we can
30-second
check
one?
it out?
It's not online right now. We had it like unlisted for a
Oh,
little
right.
while, but I mean, I would show you guys, but I can't post the full thing yet. But yeah, I mean, it's just about.
It's already got a big head. Look at this.
Seriously.
I mean, we're
Shush,
gonna.
but he's letting us into the inner circle. Shut up, Eric.
Yeah, like maybe we can interview him at Comic-Con, Eric.
Oh, that'd be so cool. It's about a city bus driver named Bill Russell, and it's about his family's got
The basketball player?
No, not like the basketball player. Why do
Okay.
people say that? No, I'm just not throwing in a line from the thing. But so he,
Nice.
Wow,
Yeah,
nice.
so he's got a son, 11-year-old son, and a wife who he's separated from. And it's just a cool environment. That's what drew me to it. Like, because I grew up in the city, so I'd take the bus every day to school and stuff. It's just a cool thing because it's nobody's end destination.
Right.
You know, everybody's going somewhere. So it's just a cool mix of you can fit all these different passengers there, and it's like a totally diverse world, but it feels natural. It doesn't feel like, all right, well, why would this, a black lesbian be hanging out with this banker just so a show can feel randomly diverse? It's
Right.
like they're all going to their different places, but they're stuck in this limited space that's constantly on the move also. So you go
So-
to different environments, neighborhoods, and everything.
So you made a cartoon about commuting.
About commuting. It's about commuting, yeah. Yeah, you should check my new city bike project.
That's what you should just animate everyday things, and
Yeah.
then people think like you're a genius because they're looking for the new Star Wars
Right,
or
right.
what'll be taking the place of The Simpsons and Family Guy when they're done.
Right.
It's like. Yeah, exactly. City bike. I have this great idea of working at Chipotle, and just the lines of people that come into Chipotle.
Some people will want guacamole, and sometimes we don't have enough.
And we
So
won't
gotta
change
say
the
no.
menu, so people get upset, and then there's this Ebola scare. I'm telling you.
The dirty heathens that want pinto instead of black beans. I mean, what is that about?
Someone at
I'm
the-
one of those heathens.
Someone at the studio just goes, he's animating what he sees.
It's genius.
Why are we paying him millions of dollars
just
for this?
seeing things around the room.
How about you
sounds
animate?
great.
How about you animate a radio show?
But it's like,
Well, I can't say mine, but maybe Bennington's.
there's something like that. Maybe a Friday at 6. But it was cool because once I got the idea, my friend told me this insane story about a bus driver, and it all just came like immediately. Like, oh, we should be like an animated show called That's My Bus. And I've never written anything animated. I hadn't written a pilot before,
Right.
So it was all silly. But then I went and I started finding bus drivers and like talked to them, and was just like, all right, tell me your
How many pulled knives
experiences.
on you?
None. They were all so happy.
Back of the line, sir.
They were tapping the "Do not talk to bus driver" sign.
They were all. You're not supposed to assault them, but you can talk to them all you want. That's
Right.
how they make the announcements. But so yeah, so I went and talked to them and got all these weird, crazy stories, and it's just like this whole insane world. The more I talked to them, the more I was interested.
They were probably all super excited. They're like, finally, somebody actually wants to talk to me and hear my stories,
Right.
And not just throw change at
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
Right, yeah, exactly. No, it's cool. It's just such a weird thing. I mean, yeah, the story that drew me to was my friend. He told me about a driver the bus driver. So, bus driver, he parks the bus and goes upstairs to pick up weed from his weed dealer, but the passengers are still on the bus. So he just opens the door and goes upstairs to get weed. This is like a real story. And then the weed dealer, because I heard this from like my friend whose dad was like shared a cell with this dealer. The weed dealer then gets a knock on his door from the cops. The cops arrest him. And then he comes down. He's like, well, how the fuck did he find me? And then when he gets thrown in the police car, the bus driver is there, and his bus is up ahead. The door is open. The bus driver's like, yeah, sorry, that was my bad. I should have parked it on my route. And then talk to some other drivers. They were like, yeah, sounds right. I knew a guy down in Philly who did that. Like, it's not, that's not so out of the realm of a thing that could happen.
It's just more that he got caught.
Right, you got caught.
Well, let me tell you a little storyline
Please.
that maybe you could use in your animated project
here we
called
go.
That's
Uh-oh.
My Bus.
Yeah.
So, say you're a stand-up comedian, a well-known stand-up comedian,
Sure.
and you're driving home, and you see these weird, you know how the buses have the electronic signs that tell you the route or if it's out of service or something like that, and you see the sign on the bus, and you come to the conclusion that you think that somebody stole the bus.
Oh, I know this story.
And you chase after the bus while calling 911 to report that you think this bus is stolen. Oh, wait, I'm turning left on 10th, and I'm still following the bus, and 911's not doing anything, and then finally you just give up and go home.
Wait, is this a thing? Is this a left field pitch? Or
No, this happened to Jim Norton.
Oh, this happened to Jim? Oh, my God.
Jim was the driver. So you have to write it from the perspective of the bus driver. Like,
No.
this loon is following
Oh
me.
yeah, and calling 911 all the time,
Yeah.
right? And then
Oh, that's
finally you
insane.
he chased a bus that he thought was being stolen around Manhattan, and then decided that he was tired and he was going to go home.
That's, man. That's
We
fun.
played the 911 calls on the air. It was quite
Really?
funny.
Oh, I
Cared
gotta-
for like 2 minutes. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Talk to Jim and see if he'll give you the okay on that story, because that would work great.
I would love to hear him tell that. Yeah. No, well, I was just reading because now, of course, I got some, fucking Google alerts set to bus shit. But there's some documentary about some dude who like he has autism or something weird, but he's been arrested like 20 or 30 times. His name's Darius something for impersonating an MTA.
Hootie!
MTA, either bus driver
Wow,
or
Hootie's on hard times.
or subway driver. So he'll impersonate them and just find like a catch me if you can type shit. Just hijack his way into driving a bus or driving the subway, and then it's like a weird thing because like he never crashes. He just makes all the stops.
Yeah, he like
He's
picks
not-
up people. I
Right,
remember reading
yeah.
that story. Yeah.
he's not looking to like go to Vegas or anything. He's just like he just wants to do that job, but he's crazy and he doesn't have the job, so they won't let him do it. So they're making some documentary about him. I got to see it because it's just such a weird. That's such a weird
You have a lot.
hyper-specific.
You have a
thing.
lot of stuff to pull from to change it just enough so that it fits that you don't have to pay any royalties
to pay anybody. Yeah, perfect.
And I feel like you could just write off your Metro card till the end of time as just market research. Like, market research
right.
on the bus.
Yes. It's all just right, tax
Save
it
your
right
receipts.
off.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Absolutely. Every unlimited Metro card
Yes.
from now on.
Contact Norton. I'm telling you, get his bus story.
Okay.
Work it into a story.
Oh, 100%. That's great.
Even give Jim the part of the guy in the car.
Oh, of
Have him
course.
voice
Of
it.
course.
I want to see that come to life.
That would be
Dan,
great.
you have the vehicle to make that
That's
work.
amazing.
Yeah,
I
it's
would
a
love
bus.
that.
Let me go back a tiny bit. So
Yeah.
you do the comedy festival up in Montreal. You win that award.
Yep.
Then I'm guessing you start getting people who want to entertain and hear your pitch now for this animated thing since you won that award.
Right.
What's the process? You have to get a manager in order, or an agent or somebody in order to approach the networks.
So, how it happened was pretty quick actually. Like, because the Fox execs saw it up at Montreal.
Oh, that's even
And
better.
then we won
Yeah.
best half hour pitch, and there were a few execs that were super excited about it. And so, literally a day or two after we got back from Montreal, one of the guys was like, "Hey, give me a call," and he's like, you don't have any other people that own the show, right? I was like, no, and he's like, okay, well, we're gonna buy the show. And so that was I'm like, well,
I feel like
All right.
All right.
Okay,
that's
if
how
you
people
have
get
to.
pimps. It's just like you working for anyone? No, you're working for me now.
I mean, it happened. It happened.
No, I
that-
love you, Dan. I'm gonna treat you good. I'm gonna buy you things, take you out to eat.
Right. So I was skeptical of that. So that was last, whatever that was, like summer. But it was just then a long process of getting the contract because it's like first they have to loop in. So Fox, then they first have to loop in 20th Century, like their parent company, and so then they do that, and then there's like a long trickle down of getting the process, and that's when you got to get, like a agent or lawyer just to negotiate the contract because I don't know what would be a good deal or not. I have no idea.
Yeah, a
If
lot
some-
of people who are good at animation or good at writing or anything, getting that hurdle is one. Getting over that hurdle is one thing, but then when you have the sort of product to present,
Right.
there's a whole other world of you can't just go and talk to people to try to sell it. You have to have an agent who takes a cut, who then has to make meetings with these people who are midway
Right.
people to higher ups. Like there's a whole thing to do.
Right, and know what the standard is or where to get. So it's like, oh, to negotiate a thing so I could be like a co-executive producer,
Right.
which I am, which is like, crazy to get that right off the bat for like a first thing. But I wouldn't have known that if they'd said like, hey, we'll give you $100. I would have been like, that's awesome. That's fucking great. 100. I don't have to. I can keep all of it.
And then they have the new cartoon about the guy who sold the cartoon for $100.
I would have, just fucking take them.
The
Whatever.
Louisiana purchase
So,
of cartoon
exactly.
sales.
Right, so that's
just want
what
these
they're
shiny
there for
beans.
because they know that
Right.
world, and I don't know anything about that.
So you get the meeting.
Yeah.
They had saw you at. You skipped a lot of steps by having the executive see you at the festival, which
Right.
really helps.
Yeah.
So now you're in the door. You're talking to all of them.
Right.
How long before the Hollywood Reporter announcement did you know that you had it?
I mean, I knew.
Because it's not uncommon for people who have projects to see it online in a news blurb before they were even told that they're doing it.
Oh, right. I mean, well, I knew we had that coming. I knew we had the deal for the script and that it was likely that we'd do a pilot presentation, but that wasn't a definite. But then I think we turned in a draft, like a full pilot draft of, which is like 60 pages because animation just moves so quick. Like a
Right.
22-minute thing would be like 60 pages. So when we turned in that, then we got a call from them real quick, and they were very enthusiastic about that. So that's when I think I wasn't expecting that Hollywood Reporter thing
Right.
to drop, but that I knew all that was happening kind of, but I just took that as a really good sign of like, oh, they're enthusiastic about this thing because they pick up scripts all the time, and it's like nickel to them, so it doesn't matter. But for them to run that, it's cool because I mean like, oh wow, that means they really like the script and are into the project, that they're willing to put it out and push it like that.
So where are we at now as far as you get the okay? Now the press knows about it. The public knows about it.
public, yes.
What's the process now for getting? Is it a 22-minute pilot?
Yeah, but so how this is how Fox does it. I assume it's how other networks do it, but they just do a pilot presentation. So because animation's more expensive and just takes way more time to do than it would be to shoot, some live action thing.
It's just like storyboards and whatnot, right?
Yeah, of course. It takes forever. So I mean, to get that like 90-second thing that we showed over there, I mean,
That's
it took so long. Right, it makes you appreciate filming so much more, because you can just knock that out. So we'll do a pilot presentation. So we'll of the full script. We'll work with them and decide what 10 minutes are the best to animate. That's how like Bob's Burgers did it, and Bordertown or whatever their recent shows have been. And from that, they'll decide whether to take it to series or not.
What's the animation style like? Is it similar to like Family Guy, Simpsons, or is it more like 3D style animation or like cell?
So that was like another decision to make, and so we'll be working with this animation company Bento Box, and they're the ones that they do a lot of stuff with Fox. So they do Bob's Burgers.
Okay.
So that
They do the
general look.
animation domination stuff.
They do some of the ADHD stuff. Yeah, so they
Okay.
work with them a lot. So like Lucas Brothers show, I think. Was
Oh, they
with
do
the
Lucas Brothers?
So I'm not 100%, but yeah, they do.
If you haven't seen the Lucas Brothers show, it's one of those 15-minute shows. Like Animation Domination on Fox does the Adult Swim kind of style where it's a 15-minute show.
A couple
Yeah.
shorts. Yeah.
And the Lucas Brothers one, it's very simple, but it's very well written. It's very funny, and there's always just random wrestlers showing up. It's really good.
Yeah, no, they have a funny show. So yeah, that's so, and then we'll move on to casting stuff. I guess is the next step, and they're throwing out all these names. I'm like, well, this is silly. Like this is like when we first recorded the audio of it, I was just like asking some friends of like, hey, are you free in an hour? Just like anyone, and now they're just like throwing out these fucking crazy stars. I was like, all right, well, this is just nuts.
So to add on to what Gil said, how do you narrow down the style that you want?
I would like that Bob's Burgers kind of style. So it's a style that feels that is colorful because it is a very what my people think is a mundane setting of like a bus, city bus route, but to give it more like color and life feels exciting and energizing, and to like breathe life into this world that people don't really think anything about, but we've all been a part of, pretty much constantly.
So how far you get this 10-minute version done?
Yeah.
Then they'll say, okay, they'll commission the full half-hour version after that?
So I think from there is when they'll decide, yeah, we want to order 3 episodes, 6 episodes, season, whatever they want. And from what I'm told, like if Fox, because now 20th Century owns it, so if Fox passes, then 20th can still take it to other networks. That's not uncommon. Like,
right.
20th, like
it's just the production company, not the
like
broadcast. Yeah.
Right. So but I mean, we lucked out in that Fox liked it first. So it's like Fox has loop in 20th.
Everything's
for
in-house.
20th to pitch it back to the people that liked it in the first place.
Right.
So we have that advantage for it. But yeah, I mean, like Modern Family, apparently, like Fox had 20th order it for them, and then they were like, nah. So then ABC
sold
has
it to
So,
ABC. Yeah.
right, so then they still make all that money off it. So yeah, I don't know. It's all
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So you
crazy.
you have the stories, you do this whole process for animation in different degrees.
Mm-hmm.
What about casting for it? Like, when do you get to pick the casting that will be the voices for what you're doing? Because you'll have people voicing it right now for these pilots, but
Right.
when do you get a chance to sit down and talk about, all right, if they're going to do multiple episodes, how do we lock in the voice talent for it?
I mean, I think whoever they want to get for the pilot presentation, I'm told, is people they would want if it were to go.
Are you involved with that
full
process or
series.
no?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they were asking me like, what names were you thinking of? I'm naming some guys, and they're like, no, think bigger. You got to think bigger than that. And I'm like, well, all right. I mean, I didn't even think you'd pay for lunch. Like, this is
Validate my parking.
I just got a sandwich because I didn't want to go too much and want to make you pay above 15. But yeah, so we do get a say in that. And then I'm sure they have to offer, like they have to reach out to these big names because they'd be stupid not to.
Billy West.
Billy West. Yeah.
He just
Throwing
thrown
a name
a
out
couple of
there.
voices.
Yes.
One or two.
I don't think he has anything currently running right now, so he could be available. And he
But-
can do multiple voices, so that can
Right.
save you some money.
Oh, that's great. Oh,
Yeah.
already looking
all
to do
the-
Because the
budget
other
cuts.
suggestion, he's in everything right now, and he doesn't have time, is H. John Benjamin.
Of
but
course.
he's got Archer and Bob's Burgers, so
Yeah,
he's a bit busy.
He's the voice
Right.
of
Yeah.
anything, and he can just do it so well. But that's one cool thing about because I talked to some of the other guys, some of the guys who write for Bob's Burgers and just learning about that whole experience with it. And I mean, those guys are likely to take on that animation role easier than they would take on a part in some sitcom where they have to physically be there to film it,
Yeah.
because it's an easier gig. You can just go in and you record the voice. But it's cool learning about, like, one thing I learned about the way Bob's does it, which I guess might not be how all shows do it, is they like to have everybody in the same room.
Right.
So even if it has they have the script, just the energy of people going off, like radio or whatever, you can riff and the funnier shit can happen that you can
It's
then
easier,
work in.
too, yeah.
Right. Whereas I heard like a story about, remember the PJs? Do you remember that show?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was Martin Lawrence's.
It was-
no, Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, it was Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like, I think Larry Wilmore created that show, or was one of the guys who created that show. And so they got Eddie Murphy to do it, and they were like, whoa, amazing, Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy would just record it from his trailer on the set of, Pluto Nash or whatever movie he was doing.
We've talked to a lot of voiceover people for animations,
Yeah.
and usually they're all just like, well, what's weird, I didn't know that Bob's Burgers all taped together, because when
Yeah.
we talked to H. John Benjamin, he said There's nothing better than he wakes up, he's wearing like ratty sweatpants and a shirt with stains on it. He just grabs a bag of chips and walks into a closet for 3 hours,
Right.
and then leaves. But we didn't know that they were all together.
They
Like,
may not. They
most
may
of-
not always be, but that's definitely. They were saying like as much as they can. Like they do care about that because they like when the chemistry.
It
of
does
people
work
feeding
out
off each
better,
other.
but just because of everyone's schedules,
Yeah,
doesn't always work out that
it's
way.
way tough. But what the story I heard about the PJs is like, so you get Eddie Murphy to do it, which is great, amazing, Eddie Murphy. But he recorded from his trailer, and then apparently there'd be times when maybe he would just, if it was a line, he just didn't like it, so he didn't want to read it. And so then they'd send it back,
jeez.
but that's the disadvantage of that is then you get this thing, and it was like claymation also. So
Yeah,
it's
right.
like
That's a lot
incredibly hard
harder
to do.
than the regular.
So we have this. They have this thing, and then it's like, oh, I guess he didn't say that line. So I guess just knock over that thing of clay because we can't use that.
Just smash it.
Just
like Mr. Bill.
slam it into the ground.
Well, if you need the bus driver to listen to a radio show, I feel like we
There
could
you go.
recommend a radio show.
We could just tune in.
Of course,
it.
tune
That's
right
it.
in.
You're gonna throw the Bennington guys
I would
a
love
part in
that.
there?
I would love that.
just like as the people on
Ron-
the bus.
Every time I've come back, Ron's pitched another character for him.
Oh yeah. What
Uncle
was the
Da-
one I heard this week? Uncle Dab Dab.
Uncle Dab Dab. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's always
What was the
Dab.
character for that?
He didn't do the voice, but I think it writes itself.
Okay.
So it'll be right there.
I feel like Bennington would be a good bus driver.
It'd be great. Yeah. You could work in other. Yeah, it's just fun. There's so many. Yeah, because you could
Or
work
if
in
he's
other
the guy that
drivers.
sits
you
in
don't wanna
the
get off
first
here.
seat right behind the bus driver and telling the bus driver the direction he would have went
Yeah.
because the traffic's not as bad over on U Street if you go that way.
I had one bus driver who he told me all these amazing stories about
Right.
things about somebody getting shot at and his friend because someone was getting shot at outside of high school. They shot toward the bus and the bus driver was scared, so he hopped out the side window by where the driver's seat. And he's telling me all this, and I'm like, "That's insane." He's like, "You didn't hear about this?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not a bus driver. Like, I'm not in that social circle where these stories are just passed around like that."
Bus driver sitting around the campfire.
Right.
Let me tell you too.
No, yeah, I didn't know any of this.
Is it too early to start talking merchandising?
No, let's merch, man. Let's
Not with me, with them. I'm not making anything for you.
You should have an
Bus
episode.
driver the flamethrower.
You should have an episode where the bus driver's sick and takes a whole bunch of NyQuil and then thinks he's in speed and just driving around the city at 50 miles an hour.
What? Yeah, one of the guys was pitching a speed parody.
Right?
That's the first one to say,
Right in
yeah.
there. You need a writer. I'm right here.
You're in.
See you,
You're in.
Eric. Gotta go.
Bye.
Done.
Take care. Then you can do a Mad Max one where the bus just winds up in a desert with all these vigilantes. There's a lot of ways to go with this.
There's a lot of buses you
Yeah,
can do.
it's a fun. It's weird.
Maybe
that-
there's some kind of red tape and the driver gets suspended. And in his off time, he has to pick up, to make ends to a means, and he's got to drive a school bus for 2 weeks.
This is all in the your hidden notes that we've
All right.
fleshed out. Yeah.
Writer's credits. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can't get in on this. I already called this territory.
No, I pitched
Yeah.
the Mad Max idea.
Ah,
Right.
fuck. You beat me.
And the school bus thing. Oh, you should because Fox likes doing this once in a while and it pisses the Simpsons off.
Yeah.
You can have an auto crossover
There you
Oh,
go.
at some
Right.
point.
Yeah.
If you're
just-
there,
just enrage them.
get through a first season and like when are we gonna have auto on the
When
show?
are we going to jab at the Simpsons a little?
Because
Just work
Fox
them.
always makes them cross over to any of their properties.
I know.
Right.
And they're not happy doing it.
Oh yeah. But I mean that show's been on so long that like in talking to some of the Fox people about it, they were like, "Oh yeah, we don't even really know. They don't even know how that works." Because like some of them, it's like, "Yeah, that was on before we were born. Like we don't even know."
That's sad.
Speaking of things that were on before you were born.
Yeah.
Here's another idea.
Uh-oh.
The dispatcher at the bus depot,
That he has a role. Yes.
Danny DeVito.
Oh man. Okay. Well,
I think just a whole taxi spoof episode would be amazing.
Right, there you go.
I'll say this because in this original
You can call it an homage.
in the original thing that we pitched, it was a conversation between the bus driver and the dispatcher. So they have this friendship, and it's like contentious conversation or whatever. And originally, I voiced the dispatcher thing, and the other day I was waiting to go see a movie down in the Village, and Paul Giamatti's waiting there.
Right.
And in my head, I was like, oh man, he'd be great for the voice of the dispatcher. But I just thought how insane it would be if I were to walk over like Paul Giamatti and be like, Paul, you don't know him, but I wrote a part for me. I think
No, he just
pull
goes,
it
no,
off.
I don't know who you are, and he walks away.
Get the fuck out of here. I'm going to see this documentary about how animals should be people.
You saw what I did on Billions.
That's what he was doing. But yeah, over the casting thing, I don't know. This is all silly. This
Well,
is
they
all
want
play
you to
at this
think big.
point.
So
Yeah.
if they want you to think big, see if you can get Danny DeVito, because he's already on FX or FXX with It's Always Sunny.
Always Sunny, yeah.
See if you got him to play the dispatcher, almost Louis De Palma kind of.
Yeah, that's
kind of thing.
Because I love that. That's
Right.
one of my favorite old shows like
Talk
that.
about somewhere down the line, you're doing an auto crossover with Hank Azaria.
Right.
You got Ron Bennington as the guy in the seat
Uncle
right
Dab
behind the
Dab.
driver.
Yeah.
Uncle Dab Dab telling the driver all the ways he should have been
Someone
driving.
at Fox right now is taking notes. Like, we don't really need this
Hey,
guy.
look,
They're
Hold
gonna
on.
cut Perlman right out of this.
As Rich Voss likes to say, we're on drive time in Los Angeles right now, and they're all going home for the weekend. So maybe they're listening to this, or maybe
never know.
maybe Warner Brothers is listening and saying, Fox drops this property. I'm gonna make this.
It's online too. It just says
I'll
shut
look like
up.
a genius.
But yeah, no, it's been so fun to write that thing and delve into that world and stuff. And you never know what's gonna happen with that. So I've been I wrote another pilot with friends, and I'm dropping this other web series in a couple weeks. So I'm just trying to film and put out as much stuff as I can. It's fun. It's just fun diving into those worlds and just making stuff that people don't really think about. It's cool.
Let's go back to your comedy for a little bit
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Dan is a comic. He does go around the country. I mean, I was following your Instagram. You were over in Eastern Europe for a while. I'm like, there's Dan, in Russia and Prague.
Okay.
And I'm like, he's just here 2 weeks ago. Now he's just living the good life.
I do go around the country, but this was so funny because I feel like you were the only one that believed this. I would post these Instagram things,
Right.
or Snapchats or whatever, and I would just say it would just be me walking around like Astoria or Queens, and I would say like, Prague is beautiful this time of night. And it was just like a mailbox and stuff. And then Eric texts, he's like, man, I'm so jealous you're traveling. And I was like, is he kidding? Or does he really think?
Well, Dan, no, you made me look like an idiot because I
Does he
honestly
really
thought
think
you were
I'm in
somewhere.
Europe? 'Cause I'm pretty sure in one of them you could see it says like Lexington Avenue.
Well, Dan, it's time for you to leave the studio. Thanks for your time here.
There's like
Thanks
an
for having my
ad for
back,
our
Matt.
radio show in the background of the picture.
And I was like, well, either he's joking and that's funny, or he believes it.
Oh, I'm not
And that's-
joking. This
and
is
that's
cut from the
sweet.
replay.
And that's sweet that he supports and believes that I'm over in Europe.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in China tomorrow, so I'm gonna send you some pictures.
You could go down to Chinatown and just stand with
That's
a
it, you
duck
could.
with its neck, ripped off, and I'm like, wow, Gittles really gets
But
around.
it's smiling at me.
Oh, well, fuck you, Dan.
But no, I love you.
That's
It was
good.
so
That's
fun.
good to know that you
I'm
got
just so
me.
glad that someone actually did that. 'Cause you know how many times I've been tempted to just take pictures and say I'm on vacation here. See,
Right.
I'm
Well,
glad you did
you know
that.
what?
I don't really know how to use I don't know what the best
Well,
use
then
for
let
it,
me-
so I was just making it up.
Let me
I just love how you got hurt.
let me attest to the shittiness of Queens then, because where you were. For some reason, it's because if you think it's in a foreign country, you're like, wow, that's amazing. Look how great it is over there. But you're here in New York and you walk past those things and you're like, this neighborhood's total shit. Who lives here?
It's garbage.
Yeah.
No, I do. I'm
All
right
right.
there.
It's all about your perspective, Eric.
I know.
But yeah,
Dumb
no,
American.
I've been other than Montreal, it was the only time I went out of the country. But yeah, it's cool. I've been doing more road stuff like San Francisco and New Orleans. I was in Boston a couple weekends ago, and
So you're going to do
Philly,
more
so-
West Coast stuff now since you'll be out there with the animation stuff?
I hope. I mean, we got to figure out. I still have to line up like the dates of when I'll be out there, but that'd be cool. Honestly, I want to as long as I can be here. I'd rather be here, just because it's
To work out in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah, just because it's my home. It's where I'm from. I know how to navigate the stand-up scene here and feel comfortable in it and feel like I'm making strides there. But I love doing like road shows and stuff and just being for audiences that are there to see comedy and stuff and be in different environments and figure out what shit translates, because that's still all, it's still for my first experience really doing that stuff. So
Doing your comedy, are you going to reach out to comics who've had animated projects? Like Kurt Metzger had Ugly Americans on Comedy Central.
that's right.
The Lucas Brothers, obviously, as we mentioned, on Fox. You could reach out to Bill Burr He's got. They
Yeah.
just bought season 2 for F is for Family on Netflix.
I love that.
Yeah,
one.
that show was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, that was great. That was great.
So good.
One thing I loved with that especially was the intro of that show because it just shows. Remember, he's like flying through
To Come and Get Your Love by Redbone.
Yeah, so he's like coming. So it shows his whole journey where he's like a military guy, and then he's got a wife, and then he's got a kid, and so it's like, oh, you get his whole backstory and context.
It's fun
before
too
you say
because
a word.
it looks like it's all forced on him. Like he had no idea, and it's like,
Right.
nope, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this.
Right, it's just life. It just keeps punching him, and you just get all that right up front. It's like, oh, cool, I get this guy,
And it totally sets him up.
I
yeah.
understand this guy. His anger isn't going to come out of nowhere because I already see he just had all this shit thrown at him. So that was just, I thought that was super effective, cool thing to see.
So that's what you do. You rip them off for your show intro. You have like the kid. No, you have the kid at like the bus stop, and then the bus picks him up, and then drops him off. He's a little older, and then keeps dropping off. He's older, and then the last one picks him up, and he's the driver.
Right, and then I'll just have just Bill Burr do it.
Yeah.
I'll just go to some spot.
Cut out the middleman.
Dan, thank you so much for coming by. I really do appreciate it. Feel free to use this interview on the DVD extras for season 1.
I would love that.
The Prague story's great.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
When are we going to be able to see any of this online? Because you just said earlier that it's kind of keeping it to yourself for now.
Right. It's unclear for now. I think we'll wait and see once we get the pilot presentation done, which should hopefully be, it might be 6 months or something, but once we
You're
do.
going to have to go through focus groups.
Oh, Jesus.
You got to be behind that glass there and watch them, either, praise or shit all over your
God.
project
And
that you work so hard.
And give notes and stuff where it's like, I don't
One
know.
kid really liked the Speedo Man.
I feel like it should end with a big joke. That's one note I got once. No, that'll be great. I can't wait for that. Just to hear random people say things and just be just biting my hand in rage. through
Keep
most of
notes
it.
because that's always good down the line too. When, like, if your show becomes really successful and one of those huge animations down the line, for like say the 5-year anniversary or something, you could have a special thing online or with a DVD set or whatever it is in the future at that point, that you have your notes from the focus groups of all the comments of what they said this show should be and what
that's my favorite when they show that for old shows, like where it's like Seinfeld or whatever, and they're like, this is garbage.
The show's about nothing.
Yeah, who's
there's
gonna
one.
watch?
It does come off, racist, but there's one for Seinfeld for that focus group where they were saying it's like, are they all Jewish? Right. It's like, well, it's Manhattan. They're all Jewish people.
Yeah.
Too many Jews in this show.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where it's like you're gonna be criticized either way because it's like let's say, hey, well, why are they all white Jewish guys? But then if they'd thrown in like black or Hispanic people, they'd be like, you're gonna have this Jewish guy from Long Island think he can talk about black or Hispanic people? And it's like, all right, just say you hate them and move on. We're just pretending we have reasons.
Just go back to All in the Family.
That's
Okay.
it.
Here's another note based on that. Long Island's fear of Jamaica Queens. So whenever the trains pull in, the Long Island Railroad pulls into Jamaica,
Right.
everyone from Long Island tenses up and sits there and stares at the door, waiting for the door to close before it goes off into the city. There you go. So certain blocks, the regulars on the bus freak out when you make stops at those
certain
things.
stops, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Black guy walks by, old lady screams, something like that. Hilarity ensues.
They really hope they can skip this stop.
Yeah.
Someone clicks, pulls stop requested.
Ding, ding,
and they're
ding,
like,
ding,
oh,
go,
no,
go.
Yeah.
No. Let's go. Nobody's here. You just keep it moving. Keep going.
And then the bus driver goes upstairs and gets the drug dealer arrested.
Gets the weed, yeah.
Dan Perlman is here. His show, That's My Bus, is under development with 20th Century Fox. We cannot be happier. It's about time they did something good after caving to Rose McGowan, but we won't get into that and cost Dan his deal. We'll talk about that later. Dan J. Perlman, it's Perlman, not Pearl.
Right.
So Perl. Yeah, whatever. On Twitter,
Jesus.
DanPerlman.com.
PER whatever on Twitter.
Yeah, there you go. DanPerlmanComedy.com to find out his dates and everything else Dan's doing. And block him on Instagram because he's not traveling Europe like I thought he was.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Thank
Eric.
you so much for that. I'm sorry.
That's no
that
problem.
Was so fun.
I'm so glad that Eric fell for that. Like,
You doing shows here tonight?
Yeah, I'm at QED in Astoria tonight,
nice.
and then Creek in the Cave tomorrow at midnight.
And by
Yeah.
Astoria, he means Belgium. That's where he'll be at. Look for those
You can catch-
photos.
yeah, you can catch me downtown Fallujah.
Dan, thank you so much, man. Check in with us, like a sort of a progress report when, things are happening. or
Anytime, man. This was
Teaser's
great.
going to come out. Any of those things. Come back and we're all interested in the process.
Yeah, for
We're
sure.
not going to get an animated series, so we want to live vicariously through you and then see and learn how all this is done.
For sure, man. Anytime. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. I really
All right, thanks,
appreciate it.
Dan.
Yeah, absolutely.